Number 10. Niall McCann. In early 2017, 35-year-old Niall McCann snapped a selfie while experiencing what he thought might be his last moments alive. He had just crashed into the side of a 2,900-foot, 884 meters mountain in Wales while speed flying, and he completely shattered his spine. After landing, he found that he was unable to move his legs and had a large gaping wound in his head. McCann would later learn that he had broken his back in 5 places. The selfie he took as he thought he was dying shows the severity of his head injury, with the rock in the background saturated in blood. Much to McCann's surprise, he was rescued just minutes later by a medical helicopter, and less than a month later, he was walking again, despite doctors originally thinking he may never walk again. Speaking with the Daily Mail, he described speed flying as a version of paragliding that involves running and jumping off the side of a mountain with a parachute and enjoying the views while in flight. A sudden gust of wind pushed him in the wrong direction and sent him straight toward the cliff that he smashed into. Luckily, McCann's brother, who was an expert mountaineer, got to him less than 8 minutes after he crashed and summoned emergency responders. Within months of the accident, McCann was back to his outdoor activities, and he even returned to the same mountain he crashed into. Number 9. Marcelo Nunes Rodriguez. 52-year-old paragliding pilot Marcelo Nunes Rodrigues was out on his aircraft in Aparecida de Goiânia, Brazil recently when one of his lines suddenly snapped, sending him and his parachute straight to the ground. He died in the disturbing crash, which was captured on video from below. When Rodrigues crashed, his paraglider burst into flames. Emergency responders unfortunately didn't arrive in time to save his life, and he burned to death. His friend, professional paragliding pilot Itiel Lima, said that he thinks Marcelo's lines were cut by a kite line coated in powdered glass. In a popular game among children, a mixture of glue and ground glass is applied to kite lines, and players compete to see who can cut their opponent's kite down first. It's illegal, but common, and tragedies like this highlight why it was outlawed. Numerous needless and preventable deaths happen every year due to the practice, making Rodrigues yet another unfortunate casualty on an ever-expanding list. Number 8. Purushottam TIMSINA. A 22-year-old Nepalese paragliding pilot named Purushottam TIMSINA was flying with a 32-year-old passenger, Gaurav Chowdhury, in 2018 when their paraglider broke in mid-air over West Bengal, India. A video taken with a selfie stick captured the moment it happened, causing Mr. Chowdhury's smile to quickly transform into an expression of terror as the pair started to descend toward the ground. The paraglider began to spin wildly as TIMSINA clung tightly to his passenger and did his best to steer. After falling hundreds of feet in just a few seconds, it crash-landed on a rooftop. Thanks to TIMSINA's quick-thinking actions, Chowdhury survived with a broken leg. Unfortunately, TIMSINA lost his life in the accident, and his dedication to keeping his passenger safe is likely what kept Chowdhury alive. Footage taken just after the crash shows part of the paraglider still sailing in the sky. Chowdhury's friends, whom he was traveling with, complained to police about the paragliding company allegedly ignoring the most basic safety measures, pointing out that even the pilot wasn't wearing a helmet. A police spokesperson reassured the public that they were investigating the tragedy as an unnatural death. Number 7. John Kelly Harrison. 55-year-old hang-gliding pilot John Kelly Harrison was flying with a young man in Clark County, Nevada back in 2015 when the pair crashed into a dry lake bed. Sadly, they both lost their lives when the hang glider dropped from the sky for unknown reasons while being towed by a truck. Harrison was pronounced dead at the scene, but his passenger was still clinging to life when emergency responders arrived. A trooper tried to administer aid to the boy, but he passed away while en route to the hospital. The crash was still under investigation when news of the tragic accident broke, revealing that Harrison was from Hawaii and his passenger was from New Mexico. News reports identified the younger party as Harrison's flying student and a member of a family from out of town who had scheduled a hang gliding excursion as part of their vacation to the area. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the truck that was pulling the hang glider turned abruptly right before the crash, but it remained unclear whether this sudden movement had anything to do with causing the accident. Harrison was an experienced hang gliding pilot, and the incident served as a reminder that even seasoned pros are not immune to a fatal outcome. Number 6. Chris Gerksky. In 2018, an American tourist was hang gliding for the first time in Switzerland when he nearly lost his life in a harrowing close call that was captured on camera. The hang glider, a Florida-based photographer named Chris Gerksky, was on vacation when he filmed the shocking ordeal. It happened on the first day of the trip. Gerksky was already in the air when he and his pilot realized that his harness was not attached to the hang glider, leaving him with no choice but to hold on for dear life and hope that he made it back to solid ground. The terrifying flight lasted for nearly 2.5 minutes before the pair made a rough but safe landing. Gerksky was extremely lucky to survive, especially since he and his pilot had launched from a nearly 4,000-foot, 1,219 meters peak. Harrowing footage shows him dangling from the hang glider while holding onto a bar with one hand and gripping the pilot's back with another. Immediately upon realizing that his passenger wasn't secured, the pilot tried navigating toward the ground, but strong winds initially lifted them even higher as they flew above a thick collection of trees. Toward the end of the video, as the hang glider approaches the ground, Gerksky can be seen letting go and falling onto the grass below. As terrifying as the experience was, Gerksky said that he wouldn't let it stop him from hang gliding again in the future. He actually said he would go again because he didn't enjoy his first flight very much, understandably so, and he wasn't upset with the pilot at all. In fact, he praised the pilot for his quick thinking and for springing into action to get them back to the ground as quickly as possible. Number 5. Robin New. One day in early 2019, a 49-year-old man named Robin New was hang gliding with a passenger in Martin County, Florida, when they crashed. Robin was steering the hang glider with a woman in the harness who had paid for the experience using a Groupon he was offering at the time. Another man steered a boat that towed the hang glider while a woman watched from the watercraft. The female witness later said that everything seemed fine for the first few seconds while the pair started to fly, but that it wasn't long before the glider malfunctioned, causing them to crash down into the water. When the boat's driver circled around to the crash site, he found the woman in the harness holding Robin's head above the water. They pulled him onto the boat and then drove to the beach while they summoned help from emergency responders. The man who drove the boat told police that Robin wasn't breathing, but that he performed CPR and he started to breathe but then threw up. He was rushed to the emergency room, where he died later that day. An autopsy ruled that Robin died from drowning and blamed alcohol for the crash, citing a blood alcohol level of 0.10, which is higher than the legal limit of 0.8 for driving. The 3 surviving witnesses said that Robin was the only member of the group who had consumed alcohol that day. Police issued a citation to the boat driver for failing to have a boater safety card in his possession. Number 4. Dan Buchanan. Dan Buchanan was a veteran hang glider pilot whose life was unexpectedly cut short one day in 2018. He was flying at an air show at the Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho when he suddenly crashed during his 3rd pass through the air. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, thoroughly investigated the deadly incident, but weeks later, the agency had still failed to pinpoint a single cause for the crash. But there were several possible factors being considered, including pilot error and technical issues. A lengthy NTSB report explained that Buchanan's airshow was meant as a comedy skit where he would inadvertently interrupt another aircraft's aerobatic performance. Things went as planned at first, He had turned out to be anything but funny when Buchanan experienced a problem with the winch that he was using to release his hang glider from a tow line that was being pulled by a truck. It became clear that something was wrong when he was seen flying much lower than he was supposed to be. Shortly thereafter, his glider came crashing down to the ground, nose first in the collision that ended up costing him his life, with the tow rope still attached to the truck. Buchanan died at the scene. At the time the findings were reported, the NTSB was still investigating the accident. It's unclear whether the agency ever came to a definitive conclusion. Number 3. Controversial hang gliding crash. A hang gliding accident at Eder-Leven County Park in Milpitas, California, killed one man and seriously injured a woman. 58-year-old Jacob David tragically lost his life, and his female companion was left in a critical state. It happened around noon in late May of this year, while the pair were tandem gliding and crashed into nearby Monument Peak, landing a few hundred feet below some nearby transmission towers. The man was pronounced dead at the scene, while the woman was airlifted to a hospital in San Jose. Measuring 2,500 feet, 762 meters above sea level, Monument Peak is a popular attraction for hang gliding and paragliding. But it's also very dangerous, as evidenced by the difficult time first responders had navigating the terrain in an attempt to reach the deadly accident site. At the time the crash was announced, authorities had yet to determine the cause. An investigation is ongoing, but hang gliding and paragliding were quick to resume, with hardcore enthusiasts taking to the skies just a day later. Investigators are reportedly re-examining a liability waiver that the Parks Department has all tourists sign when they embark on any of these activities. Local gliding clubs are in charge of giving permission for flyers to take off from Monument Peak. Speaking with local station KTVU, hang gliding pilot Mike Schuster remarked that it's unfortunate, but that there are inevitable risks that come along with hang gliding, and that staff do their best to manage those risks. And all new flyers and passengers are informed of the dangers, but enforcement of the waivers is a somewhat complicated matter, and attention is now being drawn to these issues. According to witnesses, the man who died in the unfortunate accident was himself an experienced hang gliding pilot. And some say that strong winds may have been a factor in the crash. Number 2. Scott Howard. Milpitas County, California recently made news headlines after a man died and a woman was left critically injured following a catastrophic hang gliding accident. But this certainly wasn't the first time a horrific crash happened in the area. Back in 2013, a man named Scott Howard was injured in Milpitas when the release pin of his hang glider failed to release. He would later claim that he tried to manually release the pin numerous times but failed, leaving the glider attached to the towing cable and causing Howard to crash to the ground and getting seriously hurt. He sued the company Mission Soaring in 2015 for alleged negligence in its safety practices. Howard accused the business of failing to meet a minimum duty of care in maintaining its equipment and hiring competent employees. Mission Soaring argued that Howard assumed all risks associated with the excursion when he signed a liability waiver that was meant to protect the company from anything bad that happens to anyone while hang gliding. After all, the document expressly stated that the person signing assumed all risks, known and unknown, that result in injury, including when negligence or inaction on the company's behalf were involved. The judge sided with Mission Soaring and granted a summary judgment in the business's favor, but Howard was unsatisfied with the verdict and appealed the case. An appeals court found that the hang glider's auto-release should not have been disengaged, and that Howard was inadequately informed on what to do in a situation like that. The decision landed the case back into the hands of a San Benito County court, which has been tasked with exhaustively re-examining the matter yet again. Number 1. SHAWN Knight. SHAWN Knight was the successful owner of 3 radio stations in Santa Barbara County, California. He was also an adventure lover and an aviation enthusiast. but his life was abruptly cut short recently when he was paragliding over eastern Ventura County and got into a horrific accident. The local fire department received an emergency call one evening about a paraglider crashing near Reyes Peak. Ventura Fire Captain Brian McGrath told local media outlet Newshawk that the accident was fatal. Knight, who was in his 50s when he died, believed it was important to keep local radio on the airwaves, and that radio was an important facet of local residents' lives. In addition to owning 3 stations, he owned a computer repair business and a media advertising company that towed banners with airplanes. As it turned out, it was Knight's tendencies as an adrenaline junkie that led to his downfall. Just a few years before his deadly paragliding crash, he was reportedly injured in a skateboarding mishap. But if there's any silver lining, it's that he died doing something he loved. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have an experience like Chris Gerksey, who survived by hanging on for dear life after realizing that he wasn't secure to his hang glider, or go on a vacation and have it rain the entire time? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.